Thank you, Kristen. But we're on a winning team, you guys. And if you don't believe that, you need to figure out how to believe that. You are on a winning team and you are a winner. We show up with integrity, compassion. We support each other. We're professional. Even you, Morgan. Where are you, Morgan? Yeah, you are professional, sir. Very professional. I love you, Morgan. Anyway, guys, we're part of a winning team and we're going to be talking about that. So every week we're going to start saying that. So if you have other ways that you feel like you are part of the winning team, like throw those words in the chat. I want to hear them, but we are all those things. And we don't just win by putting up numbers on the board or building. We win by growing and developing in all of these different ways. So I'm excited to just start talking about that more. So all right, you guys, get your pens and papers ready. We are going to go over a recap about Ignite. Not just how wonderful and fun it was, because it was all of those things. We had some incredible food. Shout out and thank you to Tim Romero for always pointing us in the right direction with where we should eat and all of that. But man, we ate well and we drank well. I don't mean we over drank, but there's some good, margaritas there too and things like that. But it was so much fun, you guys. And I think we can all agree on that. But I want to talk about some takeaways that each of us had. Gabrielle. Oh, that's funny. I love it. But anyway, you guys, we all had different takeaways from Ignite. And those of you that weren't there, make sure you're starting to plan for the Denver conference in August. I think it's the second week. We'll get some owners packs going. So here, hopefully in the next week or two, the agency owners will buy an owner's pack and then you guys can get the discounted tickets. So hang tight for that. But I think we can buy a minimum of 10 each. So that'll be like 20 between the two gains agencies. And there may be some other people that want to buy an owner's pack. If you want an owner's pack because you want to invite 10 people, then invest in that. Okay. Do it. Do it. Do it. I think I'm gonna go first, actually, is what I'm actually gonna do, because I want to talk about and share some really practical things on with business that I learned. I went to the breakout session with Edward Pritchett, and it was called Business Made Simple. John Paul Vetter and Tim Penso were in it. So these are my takeaways with the business side of things. So these are going to be really practical things that I didn't learn or hear about right away in the business. So I'm hoping these will be helpful for you guys. So I'm going to kind of run through these. I've got a little bit of a list, but number one, it's going to be super important that you set aside money every week for leads and taxes. That ugly word, but you are going to want to be paying some quarterly taxes so that you can stay ahead of that and not have a gigantic surprise at the end of the year. And also, if you're not setting aside money weekly for leads, then your budget for your resources is going to be really, really low. So make sure that you're setting aside things like this. And I'm going to talk about and recommend multiple savings accounts or checking accounts. Edward Pritchett said, did you guys know you can have more than one checking account and more than one savings account? So create these little sub accounts for taxes or leads. And I'm going to talk about chargebacks here in a moment too, but that's going to be another maybe category. This is something brand new that I learned. We'll get to that in a moment, but start thinking about the bills that we have as expenses and tax write-offs. One of them is sitting right here, your cell phone. Tax write-off. When you pay that bill, this is a business expense. Your computer, your internet, your workspace, your leads, continuing education classes, non-resident licenses, there's just tons of them, conference, all of those things are write-offs, meals, those are write-offs. We want to make sure that it's not really, I mean, it's obviously about how much money we make, of course, but one of the quotes was, it's not about how much money you can make, it's how much money we can actually keep. And we want to make sure that we are paying as little on taxes as we possibly can. And that's going to happen when we think about write-offs. Okay. Um, One other account, kind of going back to the accounts things, this is something brand new that I learned this conference, and it's about chargebacks. We're all going to get them, you guys. So make sure that you don't get distraught or upset about a chargeback. It is part of the business. It's a bummer, but it's part of the business. Some people do change their mind or something happens. It's really important for us to call them immediately and say, hey, what happened? And, we can talk through later, like how we would address that when you've got someone who wants to cancel their policy. Make sure you reach out to an upline first if you've not done that yet and figure out, how do I talk through this with someone? But think about having a side account for chargebacks. I've always been of the mindset, like if I do get a chargeback, it's just going to come off of the next deposit that I have from that carrier. They'll just deduct it. So if I wrote an application, I get a chargeback for $300. The next time I write business with that company, let's say my commission is $800, they would deduct the $300 from that next commission, and now I only get $5. But the mindset and thought process with having a side account is pay back that chargeback immediately. So set up an account so that you can withdraw from it, pay that chargeback right away, pay it back right away. That way, you're not robbing yourself of your next deposit. So that was a big shift for me. I've never heard that before. And I thought, you know what, that's a really, really good idea. So that was a big, big takeaway for me. Also, for those of you who are like, do I need to set up an LLC or an S Corp? Edward Pritchett said you don't need to do that. You can do it, but you don't need to do it. So if it's a little bit of a headache or feels really daunting to do all that, don't do it. I've never set up an LLC or an S Corp. I'm sure there are some advantages to it, but it's not required or necessary. I've had a couple of people who have thought they needed to do that, and they've taken all this time to set it up, and they're not even here anymore. So it's a lot of work. You could do it down the road if you really want to, but anyway, not absolutely necessary. They also talked about doing more than everyone else so that you can have more than anyone else. One other thing that Edward said too that I thought was super, super interesting. So he has spent a lot of time looked like having his symmetry business, which is wildly successful. And then he's got all these other little side businesses, I think like real estate and just some other things. But what he said is, he goes, I've tried it, you guys. And the reality is that symmetry is the best way to make money. There are so many facets to this business if you really stop and think about it, and ways that you could make more money. So get better at those things. Diversify yourself within symmetry, advanced markets, building, become a subject matter expert. I mean, Edward Pritchett is out there right now doing resets and annuities and all these things. And like on top of just the gigantic business that he's built, he's out there making, top contract commission because he's still out there working, because he became a subject matter expert through advanced markets and those things. So that's how you can really diversify yourself within this business. So I thought that was super, super interesting. So those are really just some of the practical, like business type of things that I wanted to share with you guys. One other thing real quick, I asked everybody who was at Ignite to share if they wanted to. There was no pressure to share, but I had one person who was there that isn't able to be on the call today because she's at her office, but I wanted to just make sure I recognized it. No, I can't find it. But Katie Barton was there. She and her husband, Dan, and they both have full-time jobs and they're very involved. But she said she couldn't be on the call today, but she said her biggest takeaway that she got from Ignite was a renewed commitment to get started and very practical tips to overcome objections in a really natural way. So thanks to you, Katie, for just sending that over to us. But now we've got a bunch of people that I've asked to share. So I'm just going to kind of go down the line and pick you. So I don't, if somebody's got an appointment or anything like that that they have to hop for, and I've asked you to share, kind of jump in and let me know that. But let me hear maybe from Jeff. Would you mind going first?
Sure, no problem.
Tell us some of your takeaways,
So
mindset, practical things like what did you learn and what are you implementing into your business?
yeah, so what I will say is what I'm implementing is, it's still an ongoing, right? Trying to continue to get those things going, and you know, thinking that you're just going to be able to completely change how you do things overnight is not. It can be a goal, but it can't necessarily be the expectation. But as long as you're continuing to get 1% better every day towards, trying to be that perfect version of yourself that you're trying to have, and you're going into it intentionally, then then I think you're making progress. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And there are three big things, well, three sort of buckets, I guess you could think of, and it's producing, schedule, and mindset. The only reason I'm not even talking about the building side is because my takeaway from building was just like, do it.
Mm,
Um, like there was no real, I went into conference with building being like my number one thing I wanted to really, really hear and think about. And turns out there's no secret sauce except just doing it and doing it at scale, guys. So, I've taken it upon myself to set up what I think is, maybe an improved version of building with, some of like the platforms that I talked about in the main channel the other day, and focusing a little bit more on quality and not just volume, trying to get some more qualified candidates up front. So I'm not wasting too much of my time screening through people that aren't qualified or don't want to work a commission job, whatever. Anyways, so that's that side of things. But
okay.
on the producing side, one huge takeaway that has changed my mindset and how I think about my work here is 15 hours a week of dialing. 15
Okay.
hours a week of dialing, and it doesn't matter when you dial. So like
Mm,
I've always had this thing, this my first, 3, 4 months of like, yeah, I want to focus on dialing between 3 to 7, or 4 to 7. But also, what time do most people want to have appointments? Between 4 to 7. And so
mhm,
I found myself really struggling to get in the amount of activity that I needed to do, along with, um, running my appointments and trying to actually write apps. And I listened to Cowboy Colby, as I call him, and that man runs. Not only does he just do one call closes only, but he
mm,
only dials between 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Monday through Wednesday. That is all
mm.
he does, and he is an elite producer and has been one for a long time. Um, and so when I heard that, I'm like, okay, well, there's absolutely no excuse for me not, doing stuff on in the mornings, from an
Mm,
activity perspective. So huge takeaway for me: 15 hours a week, and doesn't
mm,
matter when you dial. That's on the producing side. If you want to be an elite producer, that's what you need to go do. And then of course there's, what kind of leads you're working to be able to get to that elite producer level with those numbers of hours. But regardless, I think for anybody that's a really good goal. On the schedule side, it's just having it and sticking to it. And I believe it might have been Colby who also said it. You have to own it, and you cannot deviate from it. Do you want to be
mm,
elite, or do you want to be average?
mm,
He wakes up every single morning at the same exact time. He does his Bible study. He goes and works out at 8:30 a.m. Not a minute earlier, not a minute later. He begins dialing, and he does that every single day:
mm.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that is something that I'm trying to work towards, and I'm definitely not there yet, but I've reworked my schedule towards that. And the last part is mindset. I mean, we all know this, and we talk about this all the time, but just continuing to be more and more intentional about the mindset, taking some of the stuff that Christina Watts talked about in terms of, your circumstance, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your results, um, and speaking those things into existence, and quieting the part of you that wants to say you're not good enough, um, is really, really important. And so, having those things written down, I'm looking at my board, looking at those things every single day, um, is really key. And just making sure that that comes up every single day. So
Love it.
that for me, keeping my mindset that same way, working towards that schedule, and really focusing on those 15 hours of dialing every single week. Those are my big takeaways from conference.
Love it, Jeff. I love that idea of 15 hours a week with dialing. That's how we set up a big, big week. The number
Yeah.
one thing, if we're not dialing, if we don't have resources, what do we expect? Can't magically happen. So thank you for sharing,
Yeah.
Jeff.
I just want to say for me, it clicked in my head more when I thought about it as hours of activity instead of number of dials. Like I was like, I can commit towards a number of hours.
Sure.
Like that's a commitment I can make in my schedule.
Yeah,
Um, and so that just clicked for me personally.
perfect. Great. Awesome. Thank you. Danielle, would you mind going next for us? It was great to have you at conference, by the way. You are really fun and lots of energy. And so I'm so happy you were there. But tell us what were your takeaways? What are some of the things you're implementing?
Yeah, I had a fantastic time at Ignite. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect when I was there. I've never been to a conference, let alone like an insurance conference or, whatever that might look like. But
Yeah.
in my head, I thought it was going to be super boring. I thought like I was going to learn a bunch of like facts about insurance and I was going to be overwhelmed. And like I was just, my main excitement was to be around all of you, honestly.
Oh,
Like I was just stoked to be there with all of you and learn together. But I wrote down like a handful of things while I was there. But I think like my mindset shift was just from being coming on, like I didn't really want to be a business owner. I
hmm.
was my last thought, I could never see myself as doing something like that. I had this like traditional outlook as a business owner. I'm like, owning a coffee shop, owning a restaurant, like that's a
Hmm.
business owner.
Hmm.
I didn't look at this opportunity like that. And I think that was
Wow.
a mistake.
That's super big. That's a big mindset shift.
Yeah. So now it's just like I think about who I could grow a team with.
Hmm.
And I think I was just scared that I couldn't do it. I was in my head. And now I'm like, well, I mean, how great would it be? I mean, to do something like that with people you really enjoy spending time with. I mean, I look at Kyle and Chris and I'm like, oh my God, they're just like Gabs and Daniel, like that's incredible. They're major power couples. So it's really, really great seeing that and being around that positivity. And I think that's a big one too. You just have to
Hmm.
believe in yourself more.
Yeah.
Mm, there's a lot of business growth opportunity, but a lot of it comes down to yourself and holding yourself accountable and having that personal growth, which is so important.
Mhm.
So I think putting myself on a schedule, which was the biggest adjustment for me, and it's okay to celebrate the small wins. You
Yeah.
Jeff made a lot of really, really good points, and a lot of that were my takeaways too. But you just have to celebrate every little win, whether it's that 1% sticking to your schedule, that extra 20 minutes of dialing and just doing it, you know? Um, I think it was really for me like the key to success, there isn't a true key to success, but you have to bust down the door.
Ooh,
You
I
can't,
like that.
yeah, you can't just leave it cracked open. And that's what I was doing. I had my foot in the door and I
Ooh.
wasn't diving in and taking advantage of all the opportunity and growth that I could really see myself doing with success. And um, now I'm trying to dive in and get myself out there. So it takes reps and dials and over and over and over again, but it gets easier. And that's the whole goal.
Fun,
Just keep
fun,
doing it.
fun, fun, fun. Thanks, Danielle. Like Kristen said, Armstrong Agency loading, coming at ya. So fun. Glad you were there.
Let's
Love it.
go.
Yes, yes, love it. Um, Genevieve, my roommate. It was so fun getting, thanks for rooming with me. And it was just really fun getting to know you a little bit. So tell us some of your takeaways. What are you
Thank
implementing?
you. I came back like on a tear. Like I feel like by the end of conference, Does anyone remember the Kool-Aid man like busting through the brick
Yeah.
wall, just like ready to go and on fire? So if you're able to make conference in August, just go for it. Yeah. Oh yeah, Kyle, you got it. I took away a lot, but the biggest things that I realized, all of the top leaders in the company, whenever they're coming on to speak on stage or they're in a small breakout room, they're all coming from different backgrounds, right? It doesn't matter, what your education is, what degrees you have, what your background is, but they do have things in common. And I think that those things are truly momentum and keeping momentum, but also more importantly, resilience. So to me, I feel like what I have been noticing most of all is the most resilient people are the ones that win this game, right? The ones who fall down, who hear the no's over and over and over again and can just get back up and literally just keep rolling with it.
Yes.
So that was a huge takeaway for me. Just do the hard thing. The business is not easy. It's hard at times. But you get to choose your hard. Is it a hard that you're putting in the reps and having to sacrifice temporarily, maybe with your schedule or your family or whatever it is, in order to reach your goals in 2 months' time and continue that growth? Or is the hard going to be that maybe we're not putting all of the effort in that needs to be put in, where it needs to be put in, and then quitting? Because that's hard too. But Edward Pritchett gave us an exercise, and I thought it would be really helpful if you guys want to write down for yourselves, because it was super helpful for me. So he asked everybody, what would it look like if you pressed on the gas pedal and you didn't let up and you didn't look up? What if from now until conference Denver in August, you just went full throttle? What would that look like in your life?
Yeah.
So if you want to write down these things and then you can fill them out later and figure that out, it's been helpful for me in these past, we've been home 10 days since conference. So the first thing is, what are you feeling? Let's say you press down on the gas pedal and you're going full force, you're doing the work, you're putting the dial time in, you're following up, you're doing all the things that you know you need to be doing. How do you feel walking into conference in August? The next thing is, what did you do to get there? So what was the activity that got you to that place? What will need to be true in order for that to happen? So for me, and I know Jeff as well talked about this, we needed to retweak our schedules dramatically. For me, I was not being really great with blocking time. Like, for example, if I had dial time blocked out, if I got someone to commit to an appointment, I was then kind of running their quotes and breaking up my dial time. And that's things that I can be doing not during dial time, right? So for me, that looked like reworking the schedule so that my personal development, my quote times, things that I could do in off hours, I'm maximizing the time for my income producing activity. And then what would that look like in your personal life? And get super specific about that. How would things change for you? Your financial life, what does that look like? And again, get super specific with it, because if we're not clear and we're not able to focus on it, then how do we achieve it? And then your professional life. Did you make the did you make your goal to 85, 90 AO? And he closed out with saying that for a lot of agents, enthusiasm is common, right? We can all get jazzed about things, and but dedication is rare. So That's what I'm rolling with,
Mm.
is just like really committing to do the things that I say I'm going to do. So
Mm.
hopefully that's helpful. But definitely try
Yeah.
and make it to conference if you can. It's definitely helpful and will give you some of that momentum that you need to fuel the fire.
Man, that was amazing, Genevieve. I'm so glad that you shared those questions and those things for us to think about between now and next conference. Like, yeah, write these things down, guys. What does it look like right now? And then go back and evaluate after conference next year. Like, what does it look like? Where have you grown? Have you developed? Like, Genevieve, I'm so excited for you. I am really like hearing from you in this moment. I've got a whole other level of excitement just for you. So excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you for sharing. Woo! Let's go. Let's go with Gabrielle. Do you mind taking your turn?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
I gotta
ma'am.
test my mic. You guys know I have.
We've got you.
Thank you guys. Gosh, so I told Jennifer this. My experience after a lot of these events, I kind of come home and there is so much thoughts swirling in my mind. So I actually came home that Saturday. I was dog tired, but I wrote down my action items, like what I really wanted to implement. So I'm really excited to share those with you guys today. Um, there's so much.
There is so much.
There's so
There's
much.
so much.
Oh
We could
gosh.
each probably talk for 2 hours
Yeah.
on our experience, but I like,
Compressing.
yeah.
Compressing. I think one of the biggest things that like affected me, because I think this was an underlying theme with the entire event, is just like the power of our stories. And so
Mm.
Daniel and I actually, I'll make a quick, quiet little plug. We've been throwing around some ideas for like a podcast, possibly like a YouTube thing. Should be really fun. And we had talked about kind of sharing our stories on there. And then kind of entering into Ignite, it was just testimony after testimony after testimony. Like, that was what made the biggest impact with me, is when
Mm.
people went up and they shared their personal story kind of front to back. And it made me realize a couple things. First of all, there is not one person on that stage that didn't fight to be there. Like this opportunity and 130, that wasn't handed to anybody up there. And that's always encouraging, because I think it's really easy for us to put whatever we feel limited by, by some of these big names and say, well, they aren't limited by this thing. And so that was incredibly impactful. But it really kind of got me thinking about my story, and how I want to share that. I think what would be important to share. And then I also realized that I want to do a lot more noteworthy things. Like my story feels very unwritten still. And so I just think it would be huge to go out and to do something that like I've never done before in this business. In the same vein, I might be stepping on some toes. Actually, let's put it this way. I feel like Daniel and I have some confession, some Monday morning confession to do. I don't think that we have ever been resourced properly in this business, like ever. And that really hit me. I can tell you guys, I can probably count on, this is so embarrassing to say, on one hand, how many weeks I've actually had 15 appointments on my calendar. And
Mm.
there have been a lot of people that I've looked up to in the business that were kind of these exceptions. They were like, oh, I get 10 leads a week and I write 5K every week. And it's really fun to try to hit that sometimes. And last year I hit probably one 5K week a month, which is great, but not the standard.
Mm.
And so I think Daniel and I have really been discussing how important it would be to actually get 15 appointments on my calendar
Mm.
and to be properly resourced to do that. And
Mm.
guess what? That doesn't mean 15 leads a week is actually going to cut that for me.
Mm.
It's going to be somewhere closer to 30, which makes me want to shrivel into a little hole sometimes. That would be a big commitment, but we'll share with you guys. Daniel and I went ahead, we came home and we increased our lead orders so that we would actually be resourced properly. And I just think kind of tying this into the first thing that I said, as far as like our story goes, I think what we have done for the time being has been awesome, but I don't want to be like the outlier. I don't want to be the exception. I would love to see what happens if I actually had 15 appointments on my calendar every single week. I would love to see, a 5K week be the standard for Daniel and I, for that to happen like 4 times in a month instead of once. And I think that is what is going to give us impact. And it's what is going to like really, that's going to be such a big part of our story. So, um, yeah, I think that was probably the biggest takeaway.
I love that, being properly resourced. Very good, Gabs. Thank you. Thank you. And man, like you said, there's so much information. I'm actually really glad we didn't have this call the Monday after we got back, because I think we've all needed time to really process through everything. And I don't even think we're done yet. So wonderful, wonderful. Gabrielle, thank you very much. How about Jason? Is Jason on here? I don't know. Oh, there he is. You're covered up by something, but I see you now.
Hi.
Jason, you kind of decided like last minute to come to conference.
I did.
You glad you did? Was it worth it?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it was fantastic to meet everybody in person, to go out with everybody, to dinner or lunch. And I kind of wrote out my takeaways and everything because I could just go on for hours on everything I learned. But my takeaway was seeing that, when I first got there, there was just all walks of life, every kind of person, the most eclectic group of people you could imagine, kind of in the lobby waiting to get their pass. And but to reach the top, it seemed to, from hearing from everybody, it seemed to come down to your heart, your grit, and your perseverance. And we got to hear all the different stories. There were heartbreaking stories of people overcoming disease, poverty, lost loved ones. But the common factor of success I saw was to, in from the very beginning, break out of your comfort zone, break out of all balance, and just fully immerse yourself in taking massive action above and beyond what anybody is talking about. To keep your head down and just drill away at it. And then my mindset shift was hearing people like Dylan Crane talk about 1,000 calls a week, or even some of the other producers talking about making 600 calls a week. I actually got to shake hands with Dylan, and I asked him about the role playing, and he said he did it for 20 hours straight, which I don't know if that's true or not.
Wow.
But Nate Offord was incredible to see. You see his name on the top of the leaderboard, and he talked about bringing in 69 people his first month. And I know he came from another MLM company, so I think that's part of it. But he kind of was able to break down his methodology behind it and how to do it. I got to see an IUL breakout session. Some guy, I'm pretty sure he said he wrote $200,000 in IULs in a month, and like 95% of his business is IULs. Um, so just learning that the fact that IULs can be leveraged to just about anyone. One of the guys had a great one-liner, and it was just that, are you 100% confident about your retirement, or do you have some doubt? And I've been trying that on people already.
Yeah,
Um,
great.
but I've also, I got to speak with Jeff one-on-one a lot, which was hugely helpful. And we talked about how basically, for his child, or even for mine, you can basically put into it such a small amount. I saw James Powell talk about putting in $200 a month and being able to accumulate over $1 million in tax-free retirement. You can also fund it so that it pays for their college education
Yeah.
and arbitrage. But um, you talked about this, Jennifer, but the building was very interesting to me because I'm brand new. I'm just trying to figure out production, but seeing the numbers of what it took to really build at the highest level, how it was 140 interviews a month and half of those showing, and just getting a general idea of what it would make to build. And then Bo Eason, he just had 3 points as far as building a powerful story, and I'll put these in the chat. But basically, the more personal the story, the more universally accepted it is. The physicality of your body and body language is believed to be 100% versus your words is just 50% believed. And then giving your all the time. He talked about how he would practice with Jerry Rice and how Jerry Rice would run all the way to the touchdown instead of just running 20 yards for the catch and coming back. So really just going above and beyond.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Bo Eastman was incredible too. Like we got you guys, we have actual like real important speakers too that like be outside of our symmetry world. Like Bo Eastman came and talked to us. If you don't know who he is, Google him. I didn't know who he was, but he's a kind of a big deal, and has a powerful story. Well, Jason, thank you so much for sharing. I'm so glad that right at the last minute you decided to come, and it was just really fun to get some time with you. And appreciate you taking time to share with us some of your takeaways. Kristen, how about you? Let's go with Kristen, and then we're going to go with one of the Tims. I don't know which one. One of them.
Okay.
Okay, you're next.
Okay. I'm so fired up listening to this team talk. It's like making me like shake with excitement over here. I'm like, I can hardly contain myself.
Because we're winners.
Yes, we are. We are. And I think something Kyle and I have been talking about a lot is this question of how can we create urgency every
Mm,
day?
mm,
Because a lot of the stories we heard from stage were like, these people that built a business when they could, and thank goodness they did, because there came
yeah.
a point where they could no longer produce at the level that we all have the opportunity to right now.
Mm,
So
mm,
I'm like, what are the questions we need to ask ourselves about building this business? Like, are we taking it seriously?
mm,
You know? And like, if you knew that next March you would no longer be able to produce for whatever reason that may be,
mm,
how would you be building your business today?
yeah.
Like
Mm,
that makes me want to build my business as hard and as fast as I possibly can, not to get to the top of the company in record time or any reason like that, but all for the reason of why wouldn't I?
yeah.
Why wouldn't I take this opportunity serious today? Why do I think that I have all this extra time because I'm 25?
Mm,
And I just was like, oh, I feel like sometimes if I wait long enough, it's going to come to me without the work. And I'm so young, I have all this time. But that's just not true. Like Danny would say, like, if I said that to him, he'd say, how do you know you have more time than I do? Like, we
mm,
don't know.
yeah.
So that's something I'm thinking about. Like, how can we create urgency, build now aggressively while we can?
Mm,
Um, Something we heard from stage that I thought was huge from the founders themselves. They showed up for like a quick conversation, which was one of the highlights for me. But something they said was, if I was a new agent, the two things I'd be focusing on are resetting and
mm,
recruiting. Doesn't
mm,
matter how new you are, reset, get some money in
mhm,
your bank, figure out how to do it if you don't know how or even know what that means right now, and recruit. You're never too early, too new to recruit.
mhm,
Kyle and I recruited Daniel and Gabrielle before we even were licensed. So that's proof right there. We're all here 2.5 years later. And that's such a big part of our story that we need to
mm.
share more.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I was thinking about is like how many of us were in a sport growing up or did music, or I was a competitive dancer, for example. How much time did you guys put into practicing those skills? I know for me, it was hours every single day, an hour and a half car ride every single day to get to dance practice for 3 hours back home. That was my childhood. So I was thinking about that and I was
Mm,
like, why are we marking the business? Like, why are we
mm,
running this thing like a dress rehearsal? or like an open gym. Like, why are we not treating this like the big game or the big competition? It's like, this is our life. We have to make a decision to like go full out and give it our best. And oh, I'm just fired up. Like, my voice is shaky about it. I'm so excited, but I'm just like, oh, I can't even express. The last thing I'll end with is a quote from Jim Larson, which said, "If you are the same this time next year, you are all potential and no action." And I'll end with that.
Wow. All of us like peeking through. That's awesome. Man, Kristen, great takeaways. Thank you for sharing. And I can feel that energy in
Yeah, it's
your,
like it's vibrating out of me. I'm
yeah,
like,
I can feel it. I love
oh,
it.
it's like we have a gift in this business, and if we have no choice to choose not to acknowledge that now. If you're
Yeah.
on the call, you know about the opportunity. What are we going to do with it? Like we have no
Mhm.
option to not know about this because we do. So
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
absolutely. So good. Thank you very much. All right, we're cutting it close on time. If you have to hop off, I understand. I'm sorry, but I am still going to give everyone a moment to speak if they can. But if you do have to hop off, thanks for being here. Tim Romero, can you share with us some of your takeaways?
Yeah. So this year's Ignite was a little different for me than last year. Last year I was the only one from our group there. No one, it was brand new, right? No one had
Yeah.
gone to Ignite. And it got me fired up. This year, it kind of gave me a sense of calm, which is kind of opposite of what, the buzz that's going around. But in my mind, I'm usually the buzzy person. So to have a sense of calm kind of gives me a little bit more confidence of what's to come. Two main things that you try to find the nuggets, right? So the two nuggets that I got from Ignite are change your thoughts, and it'll change your business. That's like number one, right? Change your thoughts and it'll change your business, because it kind of leads into the second one. The second one is, how long will you put off what you're capable of to continue doing what you're doing? So if you're, you know, not ready to really jump in and do it, you're only going to get what you always got, right? It's the old saying, right? If you only do what you always did, then you only get what you always got. So, but those two things really kind of resonated with me that week. And the best part, I mean, aside from all of the learning and the everything that went on, was, seeing everybody in person really gets me pumped. So we have these calls and it's great to talk to everybody and see everybody, through the screen. But when you actually get to sit one-on-one, you never know what conversations are going to come up when you're sitting next to somebody that you've never met. Jason and I sat together and over margaritas and fajitas, and we just got to know each other about our personal lives and different things. And we talked about, I mean, all of us talked about everything from insurance to whiskey to whatever, and it all kind of builds and really starts the ball rolling down the hill, so to speak. Turns a snowball into a boulder. So I'm really excited to get back and get going. But like I said, those two nuggets really changed it for me. And Jennifer, you told me from the beginning, look, conference, you're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to it's like drinking from a fire hose, like this business usually is. And you're going to be overwhelmed because there's so much energy and so many things going on. But if you can walk away with at least two nuggets, and they may not come from the conference, they may come from a dinner, they may come from having coffee, or watching somebody else have a conversation, then it's a success. And so I feel like it's a success, and I'm ready to go. So.
Yeah. Awesome. And you brought a whole slew of people with you, Tim. And so it's fun to have your team growing, and just loved being there in person with you, and getting to meet Stephanie. So this is such a fun business, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go with, does anybody have to hop off? I've got Daniel, Tim Coates, and Kyle. If either of you three have to hop off right away, you're gonna go next. But if not, Tim Coates, you're unmuted. You want to go next?
Sure.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
I'm standing between you and all your dialing, so I'm going to go quick. But I'm right now in short sleeves. I'm in Florida for my 97th birthday of my dad, and to be able to be here last year when we had his birthday, I was in a really different mind place. Today I am just on. Um, I feel like my life's changed. So
Mm.
what I want to tell you is three themes. I took 19 pages of notes from this Ignite conference, and I write small, but I'm going to break it just down into three quick things: learning, excitement, and association. So learning, it's like about reps. You need the activity to get good at anything we do, right? Um, it's income producing activities. It's asking for help when you need it. It's that mindset. It's setting schedules and keeping it. It was mentioned multiple times, Gabs, etc. And the association, it's not about what you know or what you have. It's about who's supporting you. And I realized that from my team, and you're all my team, all my extended friends and family now. And success is about being on the leaderboard at home. And this is going to make me be able to be more present and be on the leaderboard at home. So, and people can tell, clients can tell when you really care about them. These are all soft takeaways from this conference. I took more notes about my own personal life than I took about symmetry actions because it
Wow.
made me reflect.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I watched, don't blush, Jason, but I grew by watching you be in
Mm.
there. And
Mm.
that was powerful for me. So, I just want to close and say
Mm.
what Jim Larson said at the end. Another quote that I took away, Kristen, was everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
And I believe that I was in Dallas for a reason. Never been in Dallas before.
Yeah.
And I believe you're going to be in Denver for a reason. And I can't
Yes.
wait to see you.
So good. Tim, thank you for sharing. Um, it just was fun seeing you and Jason, just both of you kind of coming together and yeah, sharing each other, building that relationship and what's ahead for the two of you. And have a wonderful time at your dad's party and celebrating him. That's exciting. Thanks for sharing, Tim. Daniel, you want to go, and then Kyle, you can close us out.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'll make mine very short as well
Sorry,
because
we're
actually my
short.
takeaway. No, 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 no. It's good. My takeaways were short anyways, which was funny. You guys can always count on me to make something simple and efficient because
Perfect.
that's the way that I. So I had two words that came out of conference. One was focus and the other one was serious.
Mm.
Two words, focus and serious.
Mm.
It's very easy to overcomplicate things. Very easy in this business to, yeah, sure, serious focus. Um, it's very, very, very easy to in this bit to make things a lot more complicated than they are. We do two things here. We help families and we build lifelong legacy by adding people to help and showing them how to build how to
Mm.
how to help families. Really, it's the two things that we do. So it came down to what am I serious about? JPV, those who don't know him, you will know him.
Yeah.
Um, he said, "Your life isn't a dress rehearsal."
Mm.
And I love that. I went, "Yeah, you're right. This is one shot at building
Mm.
something like this that nobody in my family is building. Nobody else is, my friends are building it, which is great. This
Yeah.
is not practice. This is
Mm.
play."
Yeah.
And so that's where the seriousness comes in. And then the focus is just do the darn work. Just get in there, make the dials, enough resources and leads. And as Rail said earlier, the kind of phrase for me has been, I'm not, I don't want to be the example. I want to be the standard. I want I want to set the bar, and that for that to be the standard. I don't want it just to be an example.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to say like, this is what we do, and this is what our team does, and this is what we're capable of, and it's really as simple as that. So um focus and seriousness, those are the two
Mm-hmm.
things.
Got them down. I wrote them down. Thank you for that, Daniel. Gabrielle, my knees are shaking. Oh, you guys are awesome. All right, Kyle, close us down. We like at conference, you guys, just real quick, we laughed. I laughed so hard, like several times that like just funny things. I cried multiple times. So emotional. Um, it just means so much. I can't even tell you guys how much it means. Um, Kyle, close this down. What were your takeaways?
Honestly, I'm like, I don't get this, but I'm like, my heart is like pumping, and it's like, it's just different, man. Like, there's
Yeah.
something, and guys, like, we want you to catch this because it's contagious, and hearing all these stories again, the power of stories, like, I love this, and it has me like buzzing. But yeah, to wrap things up here, you guys, success is placed within your reach, but never in your hand.
Ooh.
It's
Mm,
right in your reach, but never in your
mhm,
hand.
mm,
We're going
mm.
to talk about success here real quick. Number two, success is attracted by the person you become. So the person that you are today, we all know this, got you to where you are today. So we need to be obsessed about the person that we're becoming. So we need to be thinking about, again, the person that we become is going to be the one that's going to attract us to that success.
Mm.
Number three, you cannot overthink yourself to a successful future. You can only have discipline to a successful future. Again, we've heard all of these ideas, like strategies, like takeaways, like what are we going to implement? Again, we got to have discipline to a
Mm,
successful future. I think Kristen said it on a couple
mm,
calls ago, but it was thinking and hoping and wanting are not strategies. So we need to be disciplined to see a successful future, not think about it, not hope about it, not want it, but like go be disciplined and go do it.
mm.
And number four, the level at which you engage with what symmetry offers will have a direct correlation to our success here.
Mm,
So again, the level that we engage with the
mm.
systems that Symmetry has put in place, the four keys to a successful week, the four cornerstones of success, like we all know those, but like when you really connect and like link into those, you guys, that is going to have a direct correlation to our success here.
Mm.
That's it.
Perfect. Man, thanks, Kyle. You guys, if any of this like stirred something in you, imagine being in the room with all this conversation and it's just so powerful. It is powerful beyond belief. So, like Kristen said, let's go run through brick walls. Let's be like winners and do the things we say we're going to do to get the results that we say we want. And have fun with this, you guys. This is literally the best and most fun opportunity. And let's do it together. Let's share. Let's love each other. Like, let's cheer each other on. And like Daniel said, go do the darn thing because what if this actually works? And it does. So, you guys have a great week and can't wait to see you guys in the dollar room and just love our team. So, see you guys. Thanks for being here. Bye bye.
Happy Monday.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.